If the COVID-19 coronavirus affects one of us, it affects all of us.
It does not discriminate based on race or ethnicity.
We are in this together, and when we work together, we are stronger as a community. Each person that has accurate and timely information about COVID-19 not only helps him or herself, but it's helping the entire county.
That's why Hillsborough County needs your input in the anonymous Stay Safe survey. Your feedback will help Hillsborough County provide you and your loved ones with necessary information and resources to get through this COVID-19 pandemic together.
It takes just a few minutes. I've taken the survey, and now I challenge you to be a community player. Text Stay Safe to 73224 or visit hcflgov.net/Stay Safe Input to take the survey.
So due to our closures of all of our congregate dining centers and senior centers because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have 26 different locations that we're still providing meal services for, although today is one of our 10 grab-and-go locations. The grab-and-go locations were established at the locations where seniors live in our senior high-rises, senior apartment complexes, and for that we work with our food vendor and we're able to literally bring frozen meals to our seniors, and then we're delivering 14 frozen meals to our seniors every other week, so we make sure that they continue to receive the nutritional meal that they would have if they were still attending one of our congregate dining centers.
The meals are wonderful. To me, they're restaurant quality. There's a wonderful variety. It's quite enjoyable. We're used to coming downstairs, having lunch every day, and most of us have given up our cars, so we don't have a car. We don't have the bus to take us to the store, but it would be worse if we had to put together meals ourselves with what we have. To know that the county is taking good care of us and bringing these frozen meals to us, this is very much appreciated. The county takes care of the seniors, and we are eternally grateful. We're very grateful.
With this pandemic that we are all experiencing, often seniors are a forgotten population. So for our department to continue to stay connected to our seniors, it is crucial for their mental, spiritual, and emotional health. And also we are providing a nutritional value. We're making sure that they are still receiving a nutritional meal. And the feedback that we continue to receive from our seniors is, thank you, thank you, thank you. You are saving me from self-isolation and just going into a state of depression.
Hillsborough County has teamed up with the Department of Health and other public health and safety agencies to address any impacts the virus may have on our local community. To help prevent the spread of the coronavirus, here are a few tips you should know. Practice proper hand washing by using soap and water and wash for at least 20 seconds.
12:02 now, and I call the meeting to order. It appears that we have a quorum. Martine, can you confirm?
Yes, we have a quorum.
Okay. Okay, third on the agenda, I trust everyone received the packet. You have the agenda somewhere handy and the supporting documentation. Item 3 now is for the opportunity for public comment.
The way public comment was handled, the meeting notice gave my email for anyone that wanted to give public comment, and I have been checking it right up to this very moment and have not seen, we've gotten no requests for public comment, but that's how it was handled. So there is no public comment.
Okay. Welcome to all of you. This is naturally a very historic event, our first time ever, as far as I know, that we've had a meeting a la video conferencing or virtual connection. So hopefully it's the last one. The next time we'll be in public, in person. I miss bumping elbows with everyone, but we will do the best we can under the circumstances. And I want to thank whomever it was, the governor or the county commissioner, whoever, to allow us to meet via this format. So, and certainly thank you to, I guess, James and HTV or the powers that be that are making this happen for us. And thank you for the training session last week. So it looks like we're up and ready to go. So item 4 now is the consent agenda. Does anyone have any questions about the consent agenda? If so, no questions about finances? And I'll try to watch. You have the option to raise your hand. Either if you're on camera, I can see you, but there is the option on the listing where you raise your hand if you went through the training. I'll try to watch for that. Okay, no questions regarding the consent agenda, so we'll move on then to Executive Director's report. Martine?
Well, we need a motion.
I'm sorry.
We need a motion on the consent agenda and a vote.
Motion to approve, Commissioner Smith.
Seconded, Julian McKenzie.
Very good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Item 5, Martine.
Okay, we wanted, well, since we've seen each other, we've had quite an interesting couple of months. And one of the things I wanted to do very early on in the meeting was to give you a little bit about what the Arts Council has been doing while we have been working remotely. So one of the things I put in your packet is we sent this we just completed our state arts grant, and this sheet about our response to the virus was included in that. There's a letter that we sent to our cultural development grantees. We're trying to be very accommodating. Obviously, some of them have not been able to do the performances that were part of their grant. So we're reaching out to them all individually and to our community arts impact grantees as well. We are accelerating the payment schedule. If they have expenses that they haven't filed, the next payment period was due to be July. We're opening that up if they've got valid reimbursements as of May 15th. Our goal is to get money into their hands as quickly as possible if they have done things relative to their grant. So we're looking at that carefully. We're willing to make change requests if they have to do something virtual. In case of a dance company, they need to do a video. But, so we're trying to create. What we don't want is to get close to the end of the fiscal year and have them struggling to have completed their grant and get their reimbursement. So we're trying to be very proactive about that. So I included that letter. I also included 2 letters that were written in support of our state grant because I thought One is from an individual artist recipient, and the other is from one of our cultural development grant recipients. But I found it interesting. Both of them seem to be so appreciative of what we have been doing, reaching out during this crisis. And Eileen is on the call. She has been a little monster on social media and getting things out and connecting with NEA resources and connecting with financial resources and connecting with Americans for the Arts. She and I burn up the phone line every day as well as email, but I've heard, you'll notice on the thing that we put in the grant that people, our constituents seem to really, really appreciate that. And then the other thing, Karen Ebert-Jones Davis is on the phone because she's going to be giving a presentation later, but she helped us in doing a webinar about what comes next. I went ahead and included the evaluation of that webinar in your packet because I was so pleased to see the response. Whoever says that a session like that wasn't long enough, we've got feedback like that. But one of the reasons I included it in the packet is there seems to be a real hunger among our constituents for more things like this. So I think we need to be very meaningful in planning some other sessions that connect our cultural constituents and that we can provide good advice and during this time. So basically, I just wanted to really kind of update you all on what we've been doing. We've been very busy. I really appreciate the fact that Clifton Larson Allen, our accounting firm, last year they got us on automatic bill pay. Everything, we automized everything so beautifully. This has not been a problem, no hard copy checks. And deposit, when we get a reimbursement from one of our cultural institutions, as soon as that's approved, we can pop it into their bank account within a day, rather than putting checks in the mail. So this has been especially helpful during this time period. And we really appreciate the help CLA gave us and we did it all in 2019, just in the nick of time, but it's been very helpful as far as keeping operational things under control and in process. So that's my report. And does anyone have any questions? I do want to add, because Santiago's on the call, we have seen more collaboration with partners in the community as a result of this. I'm thinking about Downtown Tampa Partnership. We've had a lot with Visit Tampa Bay. Anyone else, Eileen, that I'm forgetting about? There's just been so much collaboration, and I think it's been a real positive. Sometimes it takes a crisis to really get people to talking to each other, but it's been brilliant, and I hope we can continue on with this.
You covered it, Martine.
Okay.
I just want to echo what Martine's just said about the bill pay is on certain items that are what I don't know, the threshold is $2,500 or more.
No, it's if it's 5,000 or above, it requires a second signature. And Emory is the second signature. So they enter the invoices, I go in, I approve them, and then I can only pay what's under that amount. And then they send Emory an email, and so he gets an email, and so a few minutes later, he can approve it. As opposed to the way it used to be, cutting checks, trying to find the board chair, spending 3-4 days to get the board chair to sign it, then putting it in the mail. Our organizations, when they're ready to get their money, they now get it very quickly. There is no hesitancy in that process. And Emory has been wonderful to learn the whole bill.com thing. He's a great partner in the bill pay.
Yeah, and I remember there was a time when I would come to a meeting and pre-meeting or post-meeting, sit there and sign 10 or 15 checks at one time, or in the old days, Eric would come to my office and I would sign off on things. But now, like I said, on Friday night about 6:15, 6:30, I get a email. I go in and I approve something and it's done. So kudos to CLA and Karen Kelly for helping us get that going, and Martine. So I appreciate that. Anything else, Martine?
No, that's it.
Okay, moving on to item 6, chair report. As you know, we've been working with the school board and the outgoing superintendent, Superintendent Eakins, had recommended Erin Soldanito to serve as our liaison. We have been in communication with her. The minutes say we haven't, but we recently heard back from her. We have a Zoom meeting set up, Martine, myself, and Erin on Thursday, just to kind of talk through roles and responsibilities. And again, this is not an official board or ad hoc position. It is a liaison, but hopefully it will give us that reconnection with the school board. And once they get back in classes, we can get back to trying to help promote arts and education. Item B, this is coming from the executive committee. We had a significant discussion, I guess back in February, about the potential.
Actually, it was March 10th. March 10th.
Right. But I think it had originally started in February is about looking into it. In March the 10th, we did have a pretty lively discussion about that. There was going to also be I guess I would call it a complimentary meeting of members of the county commission and public arts and talking about that. But I think Jillian was taking the lead on this. Jillian, do you have any comments about the additional opportunities? Were you able to meet with anyone?
Unfortunately not. Ron Barton, it's been difficult to connect with him. And as you can imagine, I've kind of had my hands full with what's going on at Mosey. So unfortunately, we have not made any progress on that. I will try and ping him again and see if I can set something up to start addressing some of the questions that came out from the conversation we had at the March 10th Executive Finance Committee meeting.
Right.
So there is a spreadsheet in your board packet, and it's indicated in the executive committee minutes. Based on initial analysis, it looks as though a total amount of savings of $157,307 would be offset by $36,981 of additional staff benefit costs. That's simply because the county has more benefits for their staff than we do. But the overall savings, not only would we be paying more, but we would also be elevating our staff to the level of county employees with their benefits. And so that's a positive that would come out of that. It's slightly additional, but the overall savings would be over $150,000 based on what we have projected. But again, we haven't looked at everything with the county to make sure those projections are in line.
And that's certainly understandable, because that meeting on March the 10th, it was just a few days after that everything kind of went into shutdown mode. But also to part of the conversation, I know Santiago, you had some additional concerns that we were going to try to investigate, such as whether there might be costs that were kicked back to us, or you want to speak to that for a moment?
Yeah, my concern was charges back to the organization based on the additional responsibilities of county staff to carry Arts Council duties and responsibilities. And I, like Julian, have had my hands full since that March 10th meeting. Absolutely right. We went into shutdown, work from home after that. And my conversations with Mr. Barton have been about a myriad of other things related to tourism and the economy and some other things. So really have not followed up. But certainly I can do so because Mr. Barton and I are having some regular conversations about other things, and I can slip it in and find out.
Oh, you froze. Okay. So my point really is just that it's an ongoing discussion, and certainly because of the health crisis, that this is being delayed a bit, but we want to continue to investigate it to see if there are options, if it's a worthwhile venture to go forward with or not. And so as time permits and we're getting more back to normal operations, hopefully Julian and others can move on to that. Any other comments or questions? Okay, under item 6, the C, Executive Director Contract. As you know, Martine was hired back in, I guess her original contract was negotiated in 2016. She began in January 2017 and has been working under that original contract all this time without any updates, revisions, or changes to it. She's also undergone at least 2 annual evaluations. In December of 2019, that evaluation was discussed at the January board, and then I was charged by the board to meet with Martine to revisit the contract. And so it's not a new contract, but it's not an amended contract. It is a changed contract, in my opinion. I think Charlotte might call it a new contract. But the essence of the contract was to remove those issues that were moot at this point, which were the clauses related to Martine's relocation expenses and reimbursement for those expenses. That portion was removed. To also speak to compensation, and then also to examine the option of adding an indemnification clause. And Charlotte, working with the county attorney's office, was able to give us a new clean contract that included those items. I then met with Martine in January, and we went through various things, editing words, but the essence of the contract. We were scheduled to meet in February with the executive committee and discuss that, and then it was pulled at kind of a last minute. So we waited another month. We were given the go-ahead to do so in March, and we met on March the 10th with the executive committee. After I had met with Martine, I gave them the first, or a draft of the contract at that time. And I would say we had a very robust conversation, examining pros and cons and other issues, and ultimately came to an agreement as to what the contract should say. And I think we have a recommendation now from the executive committee. Well, I think we do have a recommendation from the committee to move forward with a new contract for Martine. That was included in your attachment F section, the complete contract as it currently stands.
Emery, I'd like to move that we, the board accepts the contract and gets executed.
I second that motion.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Is there any questions, conversations, comments?
Who was the second, please?
It was Paul.
Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay, hearing no additional comments, questions, or concerns, then motion has been made and seconded to approve the contract. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Now, related to that, I trust those of you who have been on the board for a couple of years now will remember there was an issue in which we hired outside counsel to meet with the staff and discuss some of the issues and concerns that they had primarily during 2018, 2019. In the end, the attorney, I forget his name, did do a presentation to the board of his findings and recommendations, and then presented us a bill, which we subsequently paid, and I think it was a little over $35,000. And those funds have now been replenished into the budget, and that's clear. At the same time, Martine had incurred legal expenses during that time, 2018-19, and in October of 2019 had presented to the board or to the executive committee a request for reimbursement of those fees. And it was then Chair Gibson's recommendation that it not be considered at that time, that it be considered when Martine's contract was up for renewal. I think they said renegotiation in the minutes, but renewal. After discussing with County Attorney's Office, it was agreed, and I support this, that the reimbursement of the fees should not be a part of salary compensation. It's an expense, and therefore the request is to be reimbursed for those expenses that was incurred. And the total amount of the expenses is $5,634.53, which is significantly lower than what the attorney charged us to meet with the staff. This was discussed in some detail at the executive committee on March 10th, and the executive committee at that time recommended that Mark be reimbursed for those expenses, and that going forward with the indemnification clause now approved and added to her contract, that this would also be an option should additional expenses be incurred, legal expenses, that they could be considered for reimbursement. So I think it's only appropriate at this time that we consider the reimbursement of those expenses.
Mr. Chair, this is Lindsay. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Okay,
Second.
Motion made by and approved. Any other questions?
Who seconded?
Julian.
Commissioner Mariann.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions? All in favor of reimbursement of Martine's legal reimbursements of $5,634.53, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, that's it for me on the chair report. So I think we're ready to move to the strategic plan. And Karen.
Okay, by way of introducing Karen, I want to remind everyone that we sent a draft of the strategic plan out with a little video from Karen, since we couldn't have an April board meeting, and that was sent out on April the 24th. We were asked for any questions or concerns, anyone on the board. We heard from no one. So we brought Karen here today as close to in person as we can get in the current situation. And we want to talk about, moving forward, the implementation, the evaluation, but first of all, find out if everyone is good with the plan as it stands right now. And with that, I'll turn it over to Karen. Karen? There we go.
Okay, sorry. I was trying to turn myself on. I thought you were going to do it. Okay. Welcome, everyone, and thank you. Just to review where we've been with this, if you remember, late last year, we went out and we researched the community and asked about vision and needs assessment. We invited about 5,000 people to talk to us and participate, and about 300, I think it was 322 did. From that, we received and put together 7 different options for visions and needs. And we looked at those, if you remember, a long time ago, this February, seems like forever, on one Saturday at CJ's office in the History Museum. And we came up with a goal of talking about accessibility as the strategy for the Arts Council. From that, we created 3 committees, each represented by a board member. And we have since met and crafted what you have in front of you, the draft strategic plan. 3 meetings each is probably a 20, 30-hour process of going back and wordsmithing, as well as talking about big concepts. So doing that, you have here is a plan. I can go over it for you, but I'm not going to assume anything. I'm going to assume that you have it in your hands, and if you have questions, you can ask. But really 3 areas: capacity, partnerships, and monetary resources, about growing partnerships, growing the financial resources, programming to offer grants and continue doing that really well, and then build art and cultural accessibility and serving as a resource hub. That was a term that we came up that Saturday. And then awareness, both of what's out there for citizens as well as what they know about the Arts Council. So basically 6 objectives with methods on each of them. So I share this with you, and with many thanks to the staff and to the board members and to all of you and the citizens who participated in putting this together. It looks to me like a fabulous plan. And I, in that case, would recommend and encourage you to adopt it so we can get working on it.
Karen, thank you for that. Could I just ask a question? Who is call-in user 8 with the number 813500?
Hi, that's Kelly Kavanaugh with CLA. I'm sorry I wasn't able to join on WebEx.
Okay.
So I've called in.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that, Karen, but I just...
Oh, good to get done.
Yeah, Karen, thank you. One technical, I think it's a formatting thing maybe on page 3 under capacity partnerships and monetary resources. You have 2, I'm assuming this is a numbering, 2 C2 objectives.
I saw that today when I looked at it too.
Okay.
Yeah. That should be 2. That should be C3.
Right.
So
Okay.
C1, C2, C3. It's a small typo there. Thank you. Great minds think alike, Emery.
Mm-hmm. I figured it out when I got to programming. I said, aha. Okay. Anyone have any questions or comments about the goals, the objectives as presented?
I think it's a solid document and move that we adopt it.
Motion's made by Julian. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mariella. And Mariella, any other comments or questions? Yes. Commissioner.
Thank you. I just want to thank Ms. Davis and say I was really impressed participating in the process. That it was very effective. You know, I participated in many similar kinds of stakeholder exercises, and they run the gamut from less effective to more effective. And I think this one was particularly good process, resulting in a really good, solid plan. And I appreciate all your work on that and all the work everybody did on that.
Thank you very much. I'm really pleased that you all in February were all on the same page. We all left saying this is what we want, and it was where we wanted to be. It's so much easier when we're all facing the same direction. So I'm excited about what you'll do with it.
And I too would really like to commend the board. That was a Saturday morning at the History Center, and with the breakout sessions, it became quite lively. But when you started wrapping it up, Ms. Davis, it became quite cohesive, and we saw the theme that was there. So to the board, I thank you all for your participation that Saturday morning. Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to approve the strategic plan. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we're down to, boy, this is record time. Maybe we should do it this way more often. We're down to other business.
So Emery, I'd like to say one thing about other business. You know, we kept this strategic plan going in spite of the fact that we weren't in our offices and we were doing it remotely. Our annual goal was to have done by July. So we should have the evaluation and the implementation ready to present very soon and meet that goal. The other goal was the last thing in our former strategic plan, which was the new website, to have that launch almost simultaneously with, or certainly by the end of this fiscal year. That is going along beautifully. We have been meeting with branding and website, and we're meeting with that company, Eileen and our regularly. So in spite of the pandemic, we should meet that goal as well, and probably in a month or so have a new website to show, and it's so wonderful. The marketing company doing our website have this strategic plan. So they know what we're trying to do. And the company that's helping us with the evaluation has this strategic plan. So it's a perfect trifecta. We're all pulling in the same direction at the same time. And I think we're going to have a website at the end of this process that you will all be very proud of. It has color, it has life, it's going to look like the art. So, and it made it so much easier to do this by having this strategic plan in place. So I commend the board also for that wonderful board retreat on February, giving up part of your Saturday paid big dividends. And even with everything going on, we haven't slowed down a bit.
Very good. Martine, would you also please speak to our new city council member?
Yes, I will indeed. City Councilman Dingfelder was appointed to the board. I learned last week that Guido who's been on our board before, is now back, and he is on this call today. So welcome, Guido. We're delighted to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be back. I know when I was first here, it was just a few months. It was less than a year. So I had the opportunity to get back on the Arts Council, and I took that opportunity, and I'm glad to be with everyone. So thank you.
Very good, and welcome, sir. Any other business?
Yes, Emery, I wanted to report, this is Georgia on the Public Arts Committee.
Thank you.
We're going to be meeting, we have 3 meetings scheduled in the next 10 days virtually, and it's regarding the roundabouts, it's the advisory committee, and then our annual meeting. I'll keep you posted if by our next meeting. I would like to add that our inventory has been delayed because the buildings, mostly everything is closed. So that is still, we have a plan in place, a strategic plan in place on how we're going to proceed with that. And I will be happy to share that at our next meeting.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the only other item I have real quickly, I see Charlotte apparently has left the meeting, but I do want to go on record and thank Charlotte, and especially her assistance to me as we navigated through Martine's contract. The county attorney's office was very supportive. They held my hand a couple of times, but I sincerely appreciate the effort that Charlotte and then Ms. Carr in the county's office provided in getting the new contract to Martine and now approved by the board. So thank you for that. Any other good news? Well, this seems to have worked. So now we know what to anticipate for, I'm presuming probably next month or 2, but this can get us back on schedule and keeping everyone informed as to what's going on. I do know that the staff is being quite busy, and I'm seeing lots of posts and blogs and emails. So congratulations to Eileen and Joe and Martine, and hopefully we can keep doing good things, and we'll be meeting together soon. There's no other comments. I adjourn the meeting at 12:36. Thank you all.
Thank you,
everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.